No, it's all good. It makes it interesting. I actually really enjoy watching other people's background, what's going on in their space, you know? It's like, well, how much can you tell about a person? It's fascinating.
Good thing my son's sleeping.
Yes.
Lucky.
All right. So I'm not quite sure if the Facebook Live is going there. Perhaps we can check.
Facebook, it is. I'm on it.
Good. Okay. So we'll get started then. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to the 4th episode of What Keeps You Up at Night, Entrepreneurship During Challenging Times. My name is Colin, Weston. I am the community leader for Startup Vancouver, which is one of over 50 community chapters of Startup Canada across the country. And Startup Canada is the voice for the over 3 million entrepreneurs in this great country of ours. And our why, the main thing we do is being presented here today, and that is to support and connect entrepreneurs with resources, each other, events, locally, regionally, and also nationally. So on today's show, if you give me a sec, I am just going to share my screen here. You would think after 4 shows, I'd be a little bit more fluid with this, but here we go. I really got to get faster at this. Okay.
Find the computer.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. So let me just go to full screen here.
Oh, I love
All right.
your second slide.
There we go. So as we always do, everybody hanging in there okay during these times? I know we're having our ups and our downs and our challenges, and that's what we're here to talk about today. And I'm no different from anybody else in my conversation I'm going to have with Robert Grigore. Today, we're going to touch on some of the things, not only me personally, but also what he's doing with entrepreneurs with his counseling practice. To start off with, Startup Vancouver, as I mentioned, is one of over 50 chapters of Startup Canada. You want to connect with us? Best way to do that is through social media. The links are there. And our fabulous guest that we have today, Anna Chan, founder of myMomentum, and Maryam Mobini, my co-host today, is going to have a chat with her. And then Robert Grigore, as I mentioned also, is going to have a chat with me. Our charity that we love to support is jack.org, and we've had some donations today. Of course, this is a free event, but people do donate, and thank you for that. And jack.org is a mental health for youth advocacy group, and they do fantastic work across the country. So thank you to all that have supported with that. And as I always do at the end, I'll do a little musical shout out to all those people. Everybody seems to like that. So far, so good. So we'll continue on with that. So as I mentioned, Maryam's going to talk to Anna with myMomentum and all the things they're doing. I'm going to talk to Robert and what he's doing with Grigore Counseling. And also we're going to include all the links in real time in chat for all the people that are attending today, and also in Facebook Live afterwards too. So Reza's going to be on that, as also our other co-host who helps us out on Tuesdays. One thing I have failed to mention every single time, so I'll do it now. We want this to be an engaging and interactive session. So everybody that's on as attendees, if you have any questions in the Q&A for our guests, we're going to do about a 7 or 8 minute chat with them, and then we're going to open it up for you to ask some questions too. So that's how we're going to roll. So please make this as interactive as possible. So as I mentioned earlier, my co-host today, every Thursday, is Maryam Mobini, CEO of To Resonate, along with all the other awesome things that she does. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I am now going to hand it over to Maryam.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks for having us here. Anna, it's so good to meet you. Please tell us a little bit about, what you do, and really curious about what have been some of the positive aspects of COVID actually on your startup. Few other questions, and if you could, and I'll remind you again of them. And I'm wondering, how does being in the kind of business that you're in, so if that's why, like, if you could tell our audience a little bit about your business, how has it helped you personally and your community to deal with the anxiety and uncertainties that we're faced with during this time?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm so excited. And yeah, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so I'll start with a little intro on myMomentum. So we are a wellness platform that brings people together through all things healthy. I see, woo, Anna, thank you. And we do that now through 3 pillars, one of which actually was born out of COVID. So that I'll get to a little bit later. So predominantly it would be through our app, which we feature all things healthy through bite-sized challenges that you can do on your own time. You collect points and you get rewards for living healthy. And with the rewards, they're actually a way to support your local wellness businesses at the same time. And then we bring people together through sweat and connect events, I call them. So we're usually either sweating or we're connecting or we're doing both. And so we do 5 monthly events now. And then every quarter or so, we do a larger event that brings in more people from the community. And so we are, while we're all things healthy, of course, we're very much at the foundation community first and foremost. So that's always been at the root of what we do.
And what has been the positive aspects of COVID on your business?
Yeah, so it's been quite the ride with COVID. You know, it was one of those moments for me that right when everything kind of was like, okay, we're for sure in lockdown. It was really a decision to, okay, so we're a small startup. We've only launched a year ago. Obviously, events and being connected in community is what we do. That's going to be so hard when everyone's in isolation. So it was really one of those moments like, what do we do? And I have a 2-year-old son who I no longer had childcare anymore either. So what do I do personally as a leader of this company as well? So I had a conversation with my team and we all decided that they wanted to stick with it. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm floored by that commitment. So I need to make that commitment. And so I think throughout this whole time, we made these crazy commitments to the community, which has been so amazing. So even things like the swag bags that we do at our events, I delivered those. And out of COVID, we launched a box, which we call EmBox, which is healthy products delivered to your door. Myself and my partner, April from Grigore Girl, delivered those. And so throughout the last 8 weeks, you know, I've done like hundreds of deliveries, probably like more than 350.
That's been amazing. And can you tell us, maybe share the link where people can actually order these boxes and what comes in the boxes as well?
Yeah, so that was one of that is now one of our pillars of our business that was COVID born. And so it was really interesting that community initiative came out of all of this. And it was so natural as well. It was just one of those moments where we're like, hey, we want to bring product to people. We want to continue to connect people. So we did that online. And yeah, and so with the boxes, it's really just all things healthy, mostly food products and drinks. And we have 2 box sizes, one sort of snacking size, and then a bigger box, which has like, you know, 20 something items. And you could really just easily order it. It's just a simple Google form, and it's just a simple brown box with a sticker. But what it stands for is that you're purchasing product from your local community. So you're supporting local, all the products are local. And what we do is for every 5 boxes now that we donate to the front line. So you could either buy a box, gift a box, or you donate it straight to the front line. So it was really one of those things that you from the community can still participate. We actually had a lot of people asking, I want to participate, I want to do something in COVID, but I don't know how. And so by buying a box simply and keeping it for yourself, you're actually supporting the community in so many ways. You supported local, you supported to the front line. Like it's just such a win-win-win all around.
I love it. And my last question, I know we're coming to, is that how has how has this business helped you with your anxiety and uncertainties that you're dealing with? And of course, like your community, what are you hearing from your community?
Yeah, so it definitely was great to be able to bring people together during such a difficult time. For me, it was such a transition to be a full-time mom again. It's not that I didn't know how to be, but it was like, whoa, that's a lot of time with my son that I don't normally like. I mean, I spend a lot of time with my son, but all day, all night, all day. And I think just having that portal to still connect to the community, obviously that's like my passion. I think that was really fulfilled during this whole time. I never felt isolated. I never felt alone. And the team that is with myMomentum was always there behind me. So I think that's just really shone through during this whole time in COVID. And I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you so much. I love everything that you're doing. And we'll definitely share the link for the EmBoxes in the chat.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass it to Colin, and we'll continue asking you questions in the chat as well.
Absolutely. And before we do, Reza, I did fail at the top of the show to mention, what is that OVU QR code doing in 3 of the 5 panelist boxes there? So Reza, why don't you spend very quickly a couple of seconds there, being the founder of OVU, of how people can then connect with the 3 of you through the QR code. So take it away, Reza.
Colin. Thank you, Colin. On Tuesday, Colin and I had a chat that it's a little difficult and it's quite a hassle to add all these links in the chat and in Facebook Live and multiple places. And in the meantime, I was like, well, we are creating these Zoom backgrounds for people to connect. And then we are doing it now. So we are giving it a try, that entrepreneurial thing right now. So it's trial error, but we'll see more of this. If you bring your phone, scan these codes on everybody's screen, you get to learn a lot more about them and reach out.
Good stuff. And we'll be doing gallery view at the very end, so you'll get a chance to scan all 3. Me being by far the oldest one on the show here and being the laggard, I couldn't get mine to work quite today. So Tuesday, I will be on it though. That's my my promise to everybody here. So before we move over to Robert Grigore, are there any questions in chat? Or Reza, did you have a question for Anna?
I can't think of anything, but I'm waiting for people to ask them.
Okay, I've got one quick one here while you're looking at chat here. So next steps. And as we start to slowly come out of the COVID lockdown, how do you see these hybrid events now that you're having success in figuring out the formula for virtual events, and obviously the success you've had previously building up in-person events? Are you looking to do a hybrid or one or the other? So I know it's going to be an experiment. So what are your thoughts of that for the next 3, 6, 12 months as you move forward?
Yeah, that's such a good question. That's been on my mind. And honestly, I know the theme of what keeps you up at night is what this is about. And that kind of keeps me up at night a little bit, if I had to be honest, because I felt that the transition going into COVID was so fast. It was like, it hit you like a brick. And while it was pretty, like, quote unquote, devastating, like it really was, I feel like it's almost harder coming out. I think there will be a hybrid. We've done really well transitioning and leaning into our tech and going really fast and I don't want to say pivoting, adapting online. I think it's going to be a lot tougher coming out of it for sure. I call it neither here nor there. We're neither here nor there. We're not fully offline. We're not going to be completely online. There's going to be a drop off for sure on engagement online, because people just don't really want to be. They want to really be offline, but they really can't be. And so I think what we're going to try to do is continue to be really innovative. I've kind of let my team know about this, and we are trying to find the best strategy. But I think as fast as we can be offline in limited quantities, or we'll do a combination of both, you know, some virtual, some offline, and try to be in both places as best as possible.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you for that. Time for one more quick question here, Reza. Is there anything that we have on the chat there, or Q&A, or should we move on over to Robert?
Nothing on the chat and nothing on the Facebook Live, but I'm monitoring both, and then we'll fire it as they come.
Good stuff. So before we move over to Robert, I'm going to go over to gallery view so you can see all of us here. So this will give us an opportunity later to do a screenshot so we can get all of us on there, and also to have all the QR codes on there at once. So there we are, all of us. Looking good. Reza's going to be meta. He's taking pictures of his own QR code. I don't know what that'll do. That may actually, that's a good stress test for OVU perhaps, to see if it actually breaks the system there by shooting your own there. All right, good stuff. So I'm going to go back to speaker view here, and I'm going to introduce our next guest, which is Robert Grigore, who is, well, the owner, the founder of Grigore Consulting, where he focuses his practice on helping entrepreneurs, C-suite executives, and elite level athletes. If there's any more than that, Robert, you can jump in if I missed anything. And I can say personally, I reached out and found Robert. We connected through LinkedIn about a month ago. We've had some conversations, and I had my first session with Robert yesterday, which was really impactful. And I'll tell you, as an entrepreneur, I've had ups, I've had downs, like everybody has, as far as anxiety, depression, and stress. And I wish I would have met you 2 years ago, 3 years ago, to start my journey, just to clear my head and get back on, not that I'm not on the right path, but to optimize my experience as an entrepreneur and as a human. So with that, Robert Grigore, I wanted to introduce you, and perhaps you can say a couple of things about what you're doing with Grigore Counseling.
Thank you so much, Colin. I really appreciate that. And thank you again for having me here. I'll echo what Anna said. Really what you're talking about is something that we all do struggle with, anxiety, and you know, there's a certain amount of internal work that we all need to do on this journey. But what I really do is I am a psychotherapist. I'm a certified EMDR therapist, a certified and approved EMDR consultant. And I really work with leaders of mainly 3 different areas. So I work with leaders in the business world, whether they be entrepreneurs and CEOs. I also work with leaders in the athletic world. It could be athletes or managers, GMs. And I also work with leaders in the film industry, being actors or filmmakers or producers. So I really like to work now more with the leaders of our economy, so that I can reach more people at one particular time. And what I do is I identify the particular pain points of that individual in their life, whether it be professional or private, and I eliminate all the pain that's happening in that person's life within a single weekend.
Got it. Thanks for that. So to start with here, could you share the transition yourself as an entrepreneur, how you've evolved over the last few years and have arrived to finding the what you enjoy and the value that you add with the counseling practice that you have? So can you very quickly share with us your own personal journey of how you've arrived to where you are?
Definitely, yeah, I'll condense it because it's a long journey. Like, I know everybody's journey is long, yeah, I for most of my life also struggled with anxiety and depression, and that was really weighing on me in many ways. I was quite tortured inside, and I ended up seeing a talk therapist, personally speaking, for quite a while, and didn't actually end up getting much results out of that. I did have wonderful sessions. I built great, connection with the individuals, but the pain that I was still feeling was still there after I was done. And that was over 4 years I spent in talk therapy. I didn't know much different other than talk therapy, so I really valued and held in a high esteem the types of long-term therapy from Dr. Irving Yalom and Carl Jung. And so I thought that having a lifelong sort of relationship with my clients was something that would be really amazing, and I'd be able to, kind of grow old together, but it's really not as desired as I thought at the moment. Very quickly in my career, I really started burning out because I felt like the problems that we were addressing, and there were of course major problems, abuse and depression and stuff like that, and for me, therapy felt like trying to take down a redwood tree with a spoon. It was a very slow process, and I thought, I can't do this. I was maybe 2 years into my practice, and I thought, I can't do this for another 2 years even. So I remember in my master's education about this type of treatment called EMDR, and I really thought that was just for people that were like war veterans or people that had suffered major trauma. And that stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, for anybody that's not familiar. So long story short, I took that training and I started applying that to my clients. And I was seeing tremendous results within a very short period of time, which I thought at the time was incredible. So that was, I was shortening 2.5 years of therapy into a year, 6 months. And of course, that time will vary depending on the complexity of the person's problems. But I thought that was really amazing. And then I started to see a natural shift in my practice as I started to attract more entrepreneurs, CEOs, and professionals. And I recognized very early on that it was very, very difficult for some of these very busy professionals, as you can probably all relate to. That's very difficult to commit to even 3 months of weekly sessions on a continual basis when you have a huge company to run. So I was kind of forced into shifting into that, which I'm really thankful for. So I created a new way of utilizing the same effectiveness of EMDR, but in a very shortened amount of time. So eliminating my client self-doubt, perfectionism, burnout, all of that stuff that I struggled with personally myself, I can say. I was eliminating that from my clients in a single weekend. And so that's been really terrific. And now I've also branched out into the entire family, because, the one person's, even if they're really successful in healing and it's really terrific, they're still going back home into a system that now also needs to be modified, because when you change one part of the system, the whole system has to change. So I'm really getting into actually changing and healing the entire legacy that individual is a part of.
Got it. Thanks for distilling that down, because that there's a lot there for everybody to unpack. So I know we only have a couple of minutes here, so I do want to ask this question. The last 10 weeks, I know it's a thin slice of your practice, but let's just focus on the entrepreneurs that you already have as clients. What have you noticed? So I'd love to see through the lens that you see entrepreneurship through. What's keeping your clients up at night? What are you seeing there well, what's going on out there? Can you tell us some of that?
Yeah, for sure. There's certainly a shift. I think, Anna, you really hit it on the nail, that we're neither here nor there at the moment. But when we were really getting into the realities of COVID-19, there was obviously a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety related to just all of the necessary shifts and changes that entrepreneurs were having to make. And, I like to believe that, and I think it's really true, that the entire world is all collectively experiencing a shared traumatic event. It's a very slow one. And this is very, very triggering for so many people, entrepreneurs, especially because there's a lot of pressure on entrepreneurs to succeed. And especially if they're the sole breadwinner, and especially if they're part of a family that really has to make it through these times. So there's a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, and that's actually triggering past experiences in people's lives that were really impactful and negative. So it's really bringing up some past experiences, whether they be traumas or other negative experiences. And so it's really highlighting at the early part those negative beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm going to fail. Can I really do this? And think about the imposter syndrome. Is that really me? Can I is that really what I can do? I don't really believe in myself. So it's really highlighting a lot of that stuff. And now as we're moving into, I love what you said, and neither here nor there, you're kind of right there. There's no exact clear strategy out. So being able to adapt and change is so critical now. And there's a lot of extra pressure now on entrepreneurs to actually be able to do this really well. And I feel like what's come up a lot is perfectionism. I have to be perfect. I have to get this. And if I don't, it means X, Y, Z for me. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure, etc.
Got it. No, okay. I got to put you on the spot here. This is going to be like a 30-second counseling session for the entrepreneurs that are out there watching us today. Can you provide perhaps one tip, one thing that they can do, or one different approach in their mindset before they, hopefully some of them actually reach out to you and actually book a session? So I'm really putting you on the spot here, Robert, but is there one thing that perhaps low-hanging fruit that would really help just as far as changing your mindset to be kinder to yourself?
I love that. Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for putting me on the spot, Colin. I think it's really a message I come back to all the time, and it's such a critical one. So all of the pain, all of the negative beliefs that might be going through your mind, they are not your fault. They're not your fault. They started long time ago, usually very, very early in your life, and even past generations could have passed them down onto you. So that's not your fault if you're feeling afraid, if you're feeling anxious. What is your responsibility, though, is to change that. So I really want to encourage people to take ownership of now. Now is the best moment. This is the only moment that we have. And now is the time to get really serious about your mental health, because that's the legacy that we need to pass on to other entrepreneurs, that we need to pass on in our community.
I love that nugget of wisdom there. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And I find for my own self-care, I'm taking more responsibility now too. And you're certainly helping with that. Reza, I don't know if you've managed to get the link that we can get up there for Robert, or Robert, perhaps you can multitask because you know it. Perhaps to your...
I shared Robert's LinkedIn, and I'm waiting for people to get engage with us and ask questions.
Here we go. Maryam, go for it. Yeah.
Robert, thank you. This was so great. You touched upon, the critical inner voice, or, the inner critic, the negative voice. And I'm wondering if you could give one tip to us that we would be able to turn the negative voice around within 24 hours. What would that be? Maybe 2 tips, whatever, just anything.
Well, okay. I think, to be quite honest, it's not really an advertisement for my services, but it's really, we can tell ourselves certain things and we can do certain practices all day long. And there's certainly great things, meditation, exercise, and keeping good, social networks, and surrounding yourself with people that, are supporting you and encouraging. All those things are excellent. But I find in my work that stuff really comes as a later step, because the first step has to be to actually go back and find those pivotal moments that actually created those negative beliefs and eliminate those as sources of that pain. So 24 hours, I have had clients go through the whole process like that in 24 hours. Most clients take about 3 days with me, but once it's done, and you don't have to worry about that voice. But hopefully that's helpful. I mean, it's not really a clear-cut answer, but
I mean, I understand the power of EMDR. It's really wonderful. But for someone who's like, they don't know about it, what it can do, and their mind gets hijacked, like, what can they do at that moment? To separate themselves from that thought, to just, the thought is not them. So how do you able to separate yourself? I know it takes work, but.
Yeah, I think that's really a good point. If you can identify, okay, I'm feeling really anxious right now, or I'm hearing some negativity right now, it's very important to just stop, take a breath, pause, ground yourself, check out where you are, remind yourself of who you are in the present moment. And it's really, really, really helpful if you can use some sort of a technique or tool to put that thought away, or that feeling away. If not, even just distracting yourself by calling up a friend, or something other than what we've been doing for a lot of this time. So I don't know if you're able to get outside, go for a little bit of a walk with a dog or something like that, do that. But it's really, really critical to remind yourself that you are responding to something in the past. I find often if people can identify how old that they feel in that moment when they hear that voice, it's a clue to show you that that's something that's happening. It's coming from a lot earlier in your life. So it could be 11 years old. I'm feeling like a kid again. That's how I feel when I'm really, really anxious in social settings. So that's the best, real tip that I can give. I've got some free demos on my YouTube page, which I can post that in later as well. So if people want to learn how to do a container exercise for free, they can do that, and that could be really, really helpful.
Good stuff. So we'll definitely make sure we include those links in the show notes here, and definitely on our Facebook Live in the comments too, so everybody will have access to that. We are at the top of the hour, so we do need to wrap up. And as we do, first I want to show our gratitude and thank our two amazing guests today. So Anna Chan, founder of myMomentum, and Robert Grigore with Grigore Counseling. Thank you so much for being here. And before I hand it over to Maryam to finish up here, as I promised, we had a couple donations today, so I will do what I do. So brace yourself. Nice donation by you. Jack.org says, thank you. You are awesome, Raphael Titzwick-Morin and Robert Grigore. Yeah, that's you, Robert. Nice donations by you. There we go. There we go. And as we finish up, I am going to hand it over to Maryam for that.
Colin, that was so wonderful. And thank you both for joining us. And thanks, Reza, for everything. It was so lovely chatting with you both and super inspiring. We'll definitely look into your work, and everyone should follow myMomentum as well. And there are a lot of events that are coming up, and I believe your EmBox is ready to deliver for June 6th. Is that right, Anna?
Yeah, that's right. We're announcing June 1st, and usually announcing June 1st, and then usually deliver that weekend.
Perfect. That's so great. And we'll share all the link with everyone. And thank you so much again. And you can scan there. Just take your phone out and go to the camera app. Just open the camera, and you can scan their code and download all their information, and make sure you save it so you can get in touch with them. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Have a great weekend. Thanks so much. Bye
Bye.
for now.
Bye.
Bye.